Good evening, everyone. Thank you once again for coming and joining me on your mat this evening. Before we start, we are going to need a couple props. So if you don't have yoga blocks, there are some other things that you can use. You can use either a couple of big hardcover books, the ones we all plan on reading and we haven't yet, even in isolation. Or you can use a couple of water bottles or cups, something that's a little sturdier. We are going to play a little bit with balance just at one period. So there's other options, like I found like a bigger can or a bigger jar, something that's just a little bit more sturdy. So those are something you are going to need for this evening. Yoga blocks I know are a little bit harder to find because Amazon just isn't shipping anything right now. But my students, if you want to reach out to me, we can do some exchange of yoga blocks if you need them for the time being. But tonight, just kind of make do with what you have, and we'll just play with it and see what happens. So I bought this book for my grandson, and I read it to him over FaceTime right now. It's called I Am Yoga. I'm probably going to take it closer. I have a very tiny house, so in order to fit everything, I have to go back. So it's called I Am Yoga. And the inspiration for tonight's practice is this one. I can dance with the moon, I light up the night. If you can see that there, which I find pretty awesome because balancing half moon is one of my favorite poses, and I know my students have been in it a few times, and it's always fun just to try. So we're just going to try. I don't know what the dog is going to do this evening. Lots of people around, so we'll see what happens here. So we're going to start in Shavasana. I'll just check in quickly with everyone, and hopefully everyone is doing okay. The one thing I did post on social media is that it's okay to not be okay, because we don't always have to be okay, and it's okay just to embrace how we're feeling. And we're all grieving right now, grieving a loss of some kind. So it is okay to just not be okay, but just be kind to yourself. Find your self-care, find what makes you happy. There was sunshine today, which was pretty fabulous. So hopefully you got to soak up some of that. So let's meet in Shavasana. So we're gonna start laying down on our mats, on our backs. Feet stretch out to the corners of our mat. Arms to either side of our body, palms facing up, ready to receive all that is good that the universe has to offer us. And we're gonna just close our eyes and focus on our breath. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale, sigh it all out to your mouth. We're gonna do that one more time. Inhaling through your nose, filling up your belly nice and big, and exhale, sigh it out your mouth. And I want you just to start to notice. Notice how you're feeling today. Check in with your body. Notice your breath. Is it deep or is it shallow today? And either one is okay. We're just starting to notice. And we're gonna start to lengthen our inhalations and our exhalations. So we're gonna inhale through our nose, filling up our bellies, and exhaling out our nose and letting it go. One more time, filling up our bellies through our nose, and exhale out your nose and let it go. And now we're gonna inhale through our nose, filling up our belly, our ribs, and our chest. And then exhaling out our nose, chest, ribs, all the way down to our bellies. One more time, inhaling belly, ribs, chest. And exhale, chest, ribs, all the way down to our belly. And I want you just to continue those cycles of breath on your own for just a few more rounds. And with every exhale, I want you to feel yourself becoming deeply rooted and more relaxed on the mat beneath you. And now you can just return to normal breathing with no more need to manipulate or change it in any way. And I want you to scan your body this evening and see if there's any space that's talking to you, or perhaps that's a little sore today. And I want you to take a deep breath into that space and exhale and let it go. I want you to remember that in our practice, you can modify at any time. Please come out of a pose if it feels uncomfortable or painful in any way. And you can always make your way into child's pose. Listen to your body, for sometimes our body tells us things that our ego doesn't let us listen to. So we need to let it go. And on your next breath, I want you to slowly wake yourself up, starting by wiggling your fingers and your toes, perhaps rocking your head from side to side. You can roll out your wrists and your ankles. And then on our next breath, bringing our feet into the midline, reaching our arms up over our head, reaching nice and long, deep breath in here. And then exhale and just let it go. We're gonna do that one more time. Inhale, reaching long both ways. And exhale, let it go. Bringing one knee and then the other into our chest, holding onto the backs of our thighs here. You can stay in stillness or you can rock from side to side. Whatever feels good for you this evening. Remembering that this is your practice and I am just a guide. And then on our next breath, just bringing ourselves back to stillness, bringing our hands onto our tops of our knees, letting our feet just fall naturally here. We're gonna circle whichever way feels good. Just one big circle on the ceiling, both knees moving in the same direction here. And then on our next breath, finding center and going the opposite way. Massaging at our sacrum here. And then finding some stillness, releasing the left leg to the mat, flexing our toes, flexing our left toes, and then bringing our right knee in again, holding on to the back of our thigh here. You can hold on to the top of your shin. It's just a little bit more flexion. I have a little bit of an issue with my right knee, so I just have to be a little bit more mindful of it. We're just gonna hold this for a few breaths here, finding those little micro movements where we exhale and create a little bit of space, and inhale and pull into that space that we just found. Stretching out our backs here before we get moving a little bit more. And then on our next breath, releasing that right foot to the mat, flexing those right toes and bringing in our left knee this time. Again, those little micro movements with our exhale, finding space, inhaling, pulling in just a little bit deeper here. Checking in with our shoulders, making sure they're back and down and firmly rooted on the mat below us here. And one more breath here. And then we're going to start to flow through this from side to side. So moving one breath, one movement, lifting our left foot out, holding that right knee in, And then our right foot out, left knee in, trying to hover our foot off the mat. And wherever that is for you, if you're up here, that's okay too. Wherever you are this evening is perfect, and it's exactly where you're supposed to be. If this feels good for you, stay here. If you'd like to add on a little bit more, we're gonna lift our head, our neck, and our chest, shoulders off the mat here. And flowing through this a few more times. And one more time each side, wherever you are. And then bringing our knees to chest, releasing our head down if it was lifted. And then bringing our feet to the mat. They're going to be about hips distance apart, and bringing them in as close as you can to the back of your buttocks. But wherever you are is perfect. If you are taking care of knees, please move your feet further away from your body here. Making sure our knees are pointed forward. We're going to root firmly into our shoulders and the tops of our arms and our feet. And as we inhale, we're just going to lift our hips off the mat towards the ceiling into bridge pose. And we're going to hold this for just a few breaths here. Feeling everything wake up and come online. And one more breath up here. And then on our next exhale, we're going to slowly lower down one vertebrae at a time. And we're going to flow through this bridge flow. Inhale to lift and exhale to lower. On your own perfect pace, moving with our breath. Again, making sure our knees are pointed forward here. We're not splaying them out too much. And just feeling the movement. Two more times here. And last time, all the way up. And exhale, lowering again, one vertebrae at a time. Bringing our feet to the edges of the mat further away from our body. Arms can go into cactus or all the way out to either side. And we're just going to rock our hips from side to side. Trying to find our breath here one more time. And then bringing our knees to center. Bringing them in just a little bit closer to each other. Bringing our right arm over our head. And then we're going to roll over onto our right side using our right bicep as a pillow. And we're going to set our intention for our practice today, whatever that is for you. And we're going to let go of judgment. Let go of competition. And let go of expectation. And here he comes to say hi. And then on our next breath, pressing into our left palm, and we're going to find our way up into tabletop here. Digging in the couch apparently. Remembering in tabletop, our knees are below our hips. Our wrists are below our shoulders. Spine is nice and tall, crown of the head reaching forward, and just breathing into our back body here just for a breath. And as we exhale, tilting our tailbone up, lowering our bellies, lifting our chest, cow. Exhaling, tilting our tailbone down, rounding our spine, head moving last, cat. Inhaling into cow. And exhaling into cat, and just flowing through this at your own pace. Making sure every movement starts with your tailbone and ends with your neck. You can close your eyes if that helps you feel the movement better. And trying to move one vertebrae at a time here. Just visualizing that. one more time through. And then finding our way into neutral. And now we're going to find that spinal balance. So again, making sure we're neutral. If your wrists are, or if you are taking care of your wrists today, you can actually go up onto your fists. Sometimes I have to do this because I do have some issues with my wrists as well. I'm in complete denial that it's my age. So we're going to slowly exhale our right foot to the back of the mat, tucking our toes, lifting our left arm. Spinal balance. If this feels good for you, stay here. Or if you'd like to add on, lifting that right foot off the mat, flexing our toes, making sure our spine is nice and long. We're not arcing our back or anything. One more breath here and then lower. Trying that on the other side, exhaling our left foot to the back of the mat, tucking those toes, right arm up. And if it feels good, lifting that left leg off the mat. And then exhaling that back to center and then flowing through this, either side. One breath, one movement. And one more time, either side. And finding our way back into tabletop. Now we're going to find supported side plank here. So we're going to flip our right foot out, tucking those toes, bringing our right arm, our right wrist underneath our shoulder, left foot extends to the back of the mat, left arm all the way up. Making sure our shoulders are in alignment here. If this feels good, stay here. If you'd like to add on, flexing those toes and lifting that left leg off the mat. We're going to feel this in our glutes here. We're going to hold for just a few more breaths. And then lowering that left foot and making our way back into tabletop. I'm just going to move so I can see everyone. Flipping those left foot out this time, tucking those left toes, left wrist underneath our left shoulder, right foot to the edge of the mat, right arm up. Again, making sure our shoulders are in alignment. And then lifting that right foot off the mat, flexing those toes if that feels good for you. If not, leave that right foot lower to the mat. Both are side plank. Couple more breaths here. And then lowering all the way back and finding our way into tabletop. Big toes touch, knees to either side edge of your mat. We're gonna sit back onto our heels, arms reaching forward, slowly lowering our forehead to the mat, child's pose. Knowing that child's pose is available to you at any time if you wish to take it. You can rock your head from side to side, massaging at your forehead if that feels good. And then on our next breath, making our way into tabletop. Now we are going to bring our hips, or our knees behind our hips this time, finding our kneeling plank, making sure our shoulders are over wrists, fingertips are spread nice and wide. We're going to tuck our toes this time. So if it's available to you, we're going to find full plank. If it's not, then leave your knees on the mat. And then we're going to lower our knees and press back for a breath. And flowing through this. Now keep in mind that if you're not lifting your knees, you're just going to go forward to kneeling plank and back, and going as slow as you need to find proper alignment. So finding kneeling plank, lifting our knees if that's available to you, Hold for a breath or two, lowering those knees and pressing back, forward. Again, shoulders over wrists, lifting our knees, lowering, and making our way back. Few more times here. Two more times. Again, making sure shoulders are over wrists and we have good alignment. One more time. Lowering our knees, untucking those toes, and finding child's pose for a breath. Making our way back up into tabletop, tucking those toes, lifting our hips up and back, downward facing dog. Again, making sure our fingertips are spread nice and wide, sits bones are rooted high to the sky, and our knees are bent as much as we need to for our back to be straight. The goal of this pose is not to reach our heels onto the mat, it's just to make sure our back is straight and we're stretching out our hamstrings here. Shoulders back and down. You can pedal out your feet. Take your dog for a walk this evening. And then holding that for just a few breaths here. And then slowly walking your feet to the top of the mat. Forward, fold. Making sure our body is firmly rooted onto the tops of our thighs here. And just feeling this for a few breaths. You can hold on to opposite elbows if that feels good. You can rock side to side. And then releasing our hands, inhaling to halfway lift, flat back. Hands are on shins or thighs, wherever they need to be, for our back to be nice and straight. Crown of the head reaching forward. And then exhale, bending our knees, forward fold. As we inhale, bend our knees, reaching our arms high to the sky. And exhaling into mountain. And we're just going to find mountain for a few breaths here. So feet are hips distance apart or forward together, whichever feels best for you today. Shoulders back and down. Reaching high to the sky. We're zipping up our spine, just like our zipper here. Palms facing forward. Rooting down to rise up. And just feeling this for a few breaths here. And now we're going to start to flow. So we're going to inhale our arms high to the sky. Exhale, hinge on our hips, bending our knees, forward fold. Inhale to that halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, reaching our right foot to the back of the mat. We're going to lower our knee and untuck our toes if that feels good. Left knee is over our ankle. Kneeling lunge, hands can be at heart center, they can be all the way up, wherever you'd like today. Exhale, planting our hands, left knee meets the right, child's pose. Inhaling forward into that kneeling plank, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, lowering all the way down to the mat. We're going to inhale, root into our pelvic bone. Little baby cobra here. Exhale, fold. Inhaling, pressing all the way back into child's pose. Inhaling to tabletop, and we're going to bring that left foot in between our hands. Hand to heel if that feels better for you. Finding that kneeling lunge again. Exhale, planting our hands, tucking those back toes. Bending that knee, right foot meets left, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bending our knees, reaching high to the sky. And then exhale, finding chair for a breath. Inhaling all the way up, and exhale into mountain. Inhaling all the way to the sky, exhale, hinging at our hips, bending our knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, left foot to the back of the mat this time, lowering that left knee, untucking those toes, finding kneeling lunge. Right knee over our ankle, lowering our hands, right knee to left, child's pose. Inhaling forward to the kneeling plank, shoulders over wrists, all the way down to the mat. Inhaling to that cobra, exhale, fold. Inhaling back to child's pose for our breath. Inhaling through tabletop, bringing that right foot again between our hands, hand to heel if you need to. Finding, balance is off a little bit here. Finding that kneeling lunge. Exhale, planting our hands, tucking our toes, bending that left knee, left foot meets right, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bending our knees, reaching our hands high to the sky. And then exhaling into chair. Inhaling all the way up. Exhaling into mountain. Now, if that flow felt good for you, stay there. If you'd like to add on, then follow me. Inhaling all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hinging at our hips, bending our knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, reaching our right foot to the back of the mat. You can lower that right knee to the mat if you need to, making sure our left knee is over our ankle. And coming high, crescent lunge. Arms can be all the way up. Again, they can be at heart center, be on your hips, on your thigh, wherever you'd like them to be. Then planting our hands either side of that foot, left foot meets right. Downward facing dog or child's pose. Inhaling forward to plank or kneeling plank, lowering our knees and finding our way all the way down to the mat. Inhale into cobra, exhale, fold. Inhaling, pressing through tabletop, tucking our toes, downward facing dog. Inhaling our right leg to the sky, exhale, bringing our right foot in between our hands, right knee over our right ankle, crescent lunge. Exhale, planting our hands either side of that knee, left knee bends, left foot meets right, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bending our knees, reaching our arms high to the sky. And exhaling into mountain. One more time. Inhaling our arms to the sky. Exhale, hinging at our hips, bending our knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, planting our hands, left foot to the back of the mat. Right knee is over our right ankle. Ooh. And finding our way up into the crescent lunge here. Exhale, planting our hands, right foot meets left. Downward facing dog or child's pose. Lifting our left foot to the sky, bringing it all the way through in between our hands, heel to hand if we get, or hand to heel if we get stuck. Finding our way back to crescent lunge. Exhale, planting our hands, bending our right foot meets left, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bending our knees, reaching our hands high to the sky. And exhaling into mountain. And we're just gonna find mountain for a breath here. So again, making sure our crown of our head is reaching high to the sky. Shoulders are over our hips. Palms facing forward. And just finding our breath here before we move into the hatha part of our practice. And then we're going to inhale, reaching our hands high to the sky. And then bringing our hands back down through heart center here. So this is where I'm going to need you to find your props. So if you have blocks, that's great. If you found whatever else is gonna work for you, then that's great too. So we're gonna place them on either side of the top of our mat because we will need them eventually, just not right now. So we're gonna start in that mountain. And we're gonna release our left foot to the back of the mat, high on the ball mound to that back toe. Our right knee is over our right ankle, and we're gonna find crescent lunge here. So again, arms can be all the way up to the sky. They can be at heart center. They can be on your hips, on your thigh. Wherever you are is perfect. And we're just gonna hold this and breathe. Again, making sure our hips are square to the front of the room. The left knee is reaching high to the sky. Few more breaths here. And then on our next breath, we're gonna pivot our left foot so our toes are facing the long edge of your mat. And we're gonna find that warrior two heel to arch alignment here. So the heel to arch alignment, we're lunging into that front knee again. Knee is over our ankle. We need to be able to see our big toe on the inside of our right knee. So you may have to just externally rotate just a little bit. And once you feel steady, arms going forward and back, shoulders together here, looking out over our right fingers, like we're looking off a mountaintop. Strong warriors. On our next breath, flipping that right palm up, a little tiny reach forward, and that lateral bend here, exalting our warrior. And then finding our way back to warrior two. Bending our front arm, putting the top of our forearm onto the top of our thigh and reaching up into side angle here, supported side angle. If you like to go into full side angle, you can, reaching that right arm to the mat, heel to or knee to elbow, elbow to knee. You can look up if you like, you can look down, wherever you are today. Feeling and breathing. And then using the strength of our core, finding our warrior two again. Straightening that right leg, palms facing to the side, thumbs up, kicking that left hip out, reaching forward as far as you can, and lateral bending to the side, triangle here. If this is too much on your shoulders, your hand can come to your low back as well. Just opening up our side body here. And then bending into that front knee, warrior two. Straightening that right leg, we're gonna bring our hands to heart center. We're gonna heel to that left foot in as much as we can. We're gonna find a short stance, warrior one, to find pyramid here. You can move into the middle of your mat if you're like me and there's something in front of you. If not, you can stay wherever you are. So short stance, warrior one. We're gonna go into pyramid here. So hips are square to the front of the room, and our feet can be as far out or as close together as we would like, whatever feels more comfortable for you. We're gonna put our hands on our hips, and we're just gonna slowly hinge at our hips, and we're gonna find that flat back. So hands again can be on thigh or shin, wherever it is, or this is where you can start to use your props if you'd like. Finding that flat back here. And then if it feels good, on your next exhale, bending over that front knee. Little micro bend in that right knee though. And just feeling this beautiful stretch here.
We're gonna inhale to halfway lift and exhale forward again. And then we're gonna reach for our props, whatever they are. We're gonna bend that front knee, the right knee. And we're gonna push off and lift our left foot up, flexing those toes, making sure our pinky toe is kind of facing the bottom of the mat, so our hips are square here. Supported warrior 3. And then we're gonna bring ourselves slowly into that balancing half moon. So we're gonna bring our right hand underneath our right shoulder. Left hand on our hip, and we're slowly gonna open up to the left of the room, flexing our toes. And then if it feels good, bringing that left arm all the way up to the sky, balancing half moon. And holding this just for a few breaths. And if you've fallen out already, that's okay too. And then exhale, bringing our hands, squaring our hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bending our knees, reaching our hands high to the sky. And then exhaling into mountain. Now we're gonna try all that on the other side. So, finding our way into mountain pose for a breath here. And then releasing that right foot to the back of the mat, high on the ball mound.